So here's something interesting I heard the other day. I was listening to a podcast. It's actually old episodes of the show Car Talk, which used to be on NPR. And the show's about cars, but they have a puzzler every week. And the puzzler was about a parking lot and a situation
I noticed that my car had beads of water on it, and I noticed a few wet spots on the ground, so there had been a light rain. It clearly hadn't rained much because it hadn't cooled the air, and the sun was now shining again. I noticed a wet spot in the space next to me. The strange thing I noticed is that the wet spot exactly fit the outline of a car. I started driving home.
And their explanation made total sense. It seemed logical. But, you know, lots of times things sound right until you do them in practice. And it doesn't always work out the same. And this one struck me as, yeah, but would it really work that way? So I decided I'm going to try it. It's about 95 degrees today. It's been really hot. I don't have a car parked here because I needed to drive my car in today, but I've had this trailer, my little garden trailer, parked here. So the theory is that a car was parked there all day long, and the sun was shining down and heating up the parking lot, and where the car was at, it was shaded, and so it stayed cool underneath the car. But the rest of the parking lot got hot. And then the car drove away, and there was a brief rain, just enough to kind of wet the parking lot, and because the area where the car had been was cooler, the water didn't evaporate as quickly when the rain stopped. And everywhere else where it was hot, the water evaporated more quickly. And then the guy that had walked out to see his car noticed that there was a wet spot where that other car had been. That's the explanation. Sounds reasonable. But would it really work in practice? We're just going to see what happens. I thought it would be fun to try it. It's a nice hot day today. Very hot. In fact, you'll probably see some sweat showing up on me here. We're going to give it a try. I'm going to move the trailer, spray some water, and just see what happens. So, give it a shot. All right, here goes our rain. Okay, our rainstorm has ended. Now, if the theory is true, we should see the rain where the wagon was not evaporating quicker than the rain where the wagon was. It's hard to tell so far, but kind of looks like that might be happening actually. Now, one complicating factor with the way I'm doing this here is we're on a driveway that is sloped, and so there is a little bit of water running downhill. But, you know, I guess we'll just see what happens. All right, well, the water is still evaporating. I don't think we can say anything yet. I'm gonna leave the other camera going. We'll have a nice time lapse of it. So we'll see what happens. For now, it's still evaporating. I'm gonna give it some more time, and I'm gonna check on it in a little bit and see if we can see anything different. All right, so it's been about a half an hour now. And I think this is really interesting, actually. I'm kind of surprised, but it worked. Let's see if I can show it to you here. So there's definitely a wet spot where the trailer was, and it's dry all around. Now, it's not quite trailer shaped, and I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that trailer's not very big. It's not as big as a car, obviously. So it's going to be a smaller area, but as the sun moves over in the sky, of course, the shadow moves a little bit underneath the trailer, right? And so the part that was shaded all day is going to be just the center of the trailer. And so I think you're going to get some more sun coming in the sides, more so than you would on a car. On a car, you're going to have a much bigger area that's shaded all day. So that could be part of the problem. All right, so after looking at the time-lapse footage, I have a question about something. I'm not quite satisfied. So now that everything has had a chance to dry, it's not quite as hot out as it was earlier, but that's okay. I want to wet it down again without having the trailer here at all. So the ground should all be the same, roughly the same temperature. And I want to see what happens so that I can compare the two, and that'll give me a better idea of whether what I'm seeing is because of the trailer or just because of how the driveway dries. All right, so there we go. It's all wet again. Now this time there's no trailer, and what I'm curious to see is, it seemed like on the time-lapse footage that it sort of dried from the outside to the middle, and the trailer happened to kind of be in the middle of where the wet spot was. So I'm curious to see what happens when there's no trailer there. So it definitely looks different this time. It did not just dry from the outside towards the middle. So I think, you know, is this a rigorous scientific proof? Absolutely not. Is this a proper scientific experiment? Absolutely not. But does my brief little test seem to fit with what the explanation was? Yeah, pretty much. So I think I'm satisfied that it's at least possible. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Have you ever seen this happen before somewhere? Have you ever walked out and seen a wet spot in the shape of a car in the middle of a dry parking lot? So do you buy Car Talk's explanation of what's going on here? Do you think there's another explanation maybe for what's happening? Do you think it's all bogus and this is not really a thing that happens at all? You know, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be curious to hear what you think. If you have other ideas for interesting things you'd like to hear me talk about, comments. You guys know how to comment. I'm sure you know what you're doing. Like, subscribe, share, all the things. And go check out Car Talk. They are amazing. I think their laughter is infectious, and I think you'll like it too. And that's all I got for today. Thanks. Bye.